Hi everyone, welcome to Victor TV once again. And in this video, we'll be starting a new series where we'll be learning about business analysis. To reintroduce myself, my name is Victor Ondukwe, and I am a business analyst within the insurance space. I have over 5 years experience in the industry and in the field, and I have come up with this series to walk you through everything you need to learn to get started on the business analysis field. So you are going to learn about what business analysis is, its foundation, introduction to business analysis. We'll go ahead from beginner to intermediate, to advanced. I'll teach you all the tips, tricks, and all the necessary things you need to know to get started on your journey. And we'll be learning tools, we'll be learning different techniques as well, the knowledge areas within business analysis. Once again, my name is Victor Ondukwe, and I'm happy to have you on this video. So for today's class, we'll be starting from the scratch, and I would assume that we have beginners amongst us. So I'll be as granular and as detailed as possible, and we'll be guided by this content. So we'll introduce the entire thing we're going to be learning. We'll establish our learning objectives, right? Then we would understand what business analysis is. And as a business analyst, you also get to clearly articulate and define the role of a business analyst, right? Then we would also review and look into the business analysis key concept model, right? And then we'll take questions and do some class activities, and that would be the end of the session. So, like I'd mentioned earlier, this is a business analysis series where from scratch, I'll be walking you through the journey of becoming a seasoned business analysis professional. Why am I in the best position to do this? Because I am a professional myself. I have about 5 years experience doing business analysis within the insurance space, within the marketing space, right? And I have professional experience. So I'm in the best place to walk you through this journey, right? And for today's class, we'll be going through the very basics of business analysis, right? Introduction to business analysis. And for what we'll be learning, first we'll learn what business analysis is first of all, because for you to be able to learn something, you need to know what that thing is, right? Then we'll also establish an understanding of the business analysis job process, what you'd be doing, what is expected of you within the context of a business, within the context of an organization as a business analyst, right? Secondly, as a business analyst, you also know who you are, right? And the job roles that is expected, the job functions that is expected of you as a business analyst. And lastly, we would also look at the business analysis key concept model. So understand the business analysis key concept model. And then as activities, we would also identify areas within our teams, our businesses, where we currently function, where we can apply our knowledge of business analysis in. So it's going to be an interesting and very simple to follow class. And I am grateful that you're on this journey with me. And I hope that you're going to be able to learn all of these things at the end of this session. Let's dive right into it. Firstly, what is business analysis? So there is a body that guides business analysts across the world, and that is the International Institute of Business Analysts, right? And they've defined business analysis as the practice of enabling change in an enterprise by defining needs and recommending solutions that deliver value to stakeholders. This is a very, very straightforward definition. And basically, as a business analyst, you are a change agent, right? So when I say change agent, you enable change within an organization, within a business, within a project team, right? So basically, what you are going to be doing as a business analyst, or what you'll be doing as business analysis, is basically ensuring that you bridge the gap between the business side and the technology side, right? Or the enabler. So in some case, you might not necessarily need technology to be your enabler. It might just be some process improvement initiatives, right? But basically, you are that middleman. So there's a common myth or common understanding that business side of things, that is the management, your stakeholders, do not necessarily understand technology enough, why the developers or the technology side of things not really understand the business enough. So you as a business analyst, right, or business analysis entails basically sitting in that gap, sitting in the middle, and communicating between these two parties and ensuring that you are communicating what the business needs are, right? You're communicating the business needs to the technology side, and then you're taking the feedback from the technology side and communicating it back to the business. That way, you're going to ensure smooth communication and smooth collaboration between both ends. That is what business analysis is. Again, in the context of project management, the body guiding project management within the world is Project Management Institute. They also have a very interesting definition of business analysis. And they said business analysis is the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to determine problems and identify business needs, first of all, identify and recommend viable solutions for meeting those needs, elicit, document, and manage stakeholder requirements in order to meet business and project objectives, and also facilitate the successful implementation of product, service, or end result of the project. This is as defined by the Project Management Institute, PMI. This seems like a handful, but we are going to break down this definition. The PMI definition sort of fits in business analysis into the project management perspective, right? Explaining how business analysis comes into project management. Basically, you are applying the knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques that you've been able to gather into solving problems, identifying problems within your business, within your organization. And not only that, you're also identifying and recommending viable solutions for meeting those needs that you've identified. Then you don't stop there. You also go ahead to facilitate the successful implementation of the end result. So when we look at these two definitions, some things are common, right? You look at the definition from IBA, you look at the definition from PMI, and one thing that is common is that as a business analyst or business analysis involves the practice of bringing change to life, bringing positive change to life within the organization. So be it a full-blown project, be it a process improvement, so you're looking at a process and you're trying to re-engineer one or two things to make it better, right? Um, any form of activity that you're involved in, business analysis is typically looking forward to making a positive change happen, right? And across both definitions, one thing that is sure is that business analysis involves identification of business needs, right? And to identify business needs, a business analyst have to go through the process of engaging stakeholders. We're going to see all of this in the coming videos, right? You have to go through the process of identifying your stakeholders, understanding what their pain points are. Sometimes you have to go through the process of understanding processes that exist, reading documents, or even going as further as understanding the organization as well within which this change is going to happen. So you're understanding the cultural context of this organization, the mission and vision statement. You're understanding the product that this um, organization sells, right? And after you've identified these needs, now I must also mention that needs identification can come in two ways, right? As a business analyst, you're also involved, like I'd mentioned, in analyzing an organization. So you are reading the financial statement, you're analyzing the financial statement, you're analyzing the organizational structure. You know, you are ensuring that you are embedded into the organization, right? And that way you're seeing loopholes within some processes along the area of cost, along the area of customer satisfaction. There are some gaps. And you can only identify this when you've taken time to really understand the processes or understand the methodologies or the frameworks, the regulations within the industry that our organization plays in, within the organization itself, right? And when I talk about processes, basically, processes are end-to-end tasks that are connected, right, to meet a goal. So what is the process of onboarding a customer, right? First, we collect the customer's details, we enter it into our database, we generate a customer number, and then that customer gets a mail. That is a process of onboarding a customer. So when you hear process, just think of it as a chain of activities or tasks that are connected together to achieve a particular goal. So the second way as a business analyst that you can identify business needs is when your stakeholders bring a particular problem to you. Oh, we've noticed that last year in on our website we're able to sell about so amount by this time, and now we have dipped by so amount. Now this is your role, this is one of your functions as a business analyst, or this is where business analysis comes in, to understand why, right? Why did this sales dip? Why do we have a dip in our revenue? Why are they bringing this problem? What is the cause of this? So you have to be very comfortable as a business analyst in asking questions, right? And this is where root cause analysis also comes in, right? Because you don't just want to identify surface needs or accept surface needs without digging deep to really know what the true cause of the problem is. We're going to uncover all of these techniques, all of these things I'm talking about in coming videos, right? Um, After identifying your business needs, you've been able to analyze the business, analyze the organization, analyze documents, processes, methodologies, in fact, regulatory policies within the organization, right? Or your stakeholders have come up to you with some problems that they are facing within their own process, within their team. Or maybe the CEO of the organization came to you to mention that we need to work on this thing. Our process of managing leads within the organization is not correct. We need to build a system, that is identification of business needs. The next thing as a business analyst, or the next thing within the business analysis framework, would then be to recommend solutions. So you don't just identify business needs, you also recommend business solutions, right? Solutions that meet the needs that have been identified. Now, solution does not necessarily mean technological solution. You don't necessarily have to have built a website, or maybe built a tool, or built a full-blown system before it can be called a solution. A solution simply means anything that addresses the need that has been identified by the stakeholders, right? Or anything that addresses the problem that has been brought forward by your stakeholders is a solution. So a solution can range from process improvement, right? Remember, we've already talked about what a process is. So the process of onboarding, you feel like at this point, the cost of doing this is too much. You know what, let us change this. Instead of collecting 30 information from our customers, because we need to onboard them as fast as possible, let's limit it to 5, right? We KYC them without 5, we onboard them without 5 details. And when they are in, when they want to buy policies or when they want to interact with our business more, we then collect more information at that point. You've been able to re-engineer that process of onboarding, and that exactly is also a solution. And the solution can be as big as creating a full-blown system, right? That would also solve a big problem within the organization. And now, after recommending solutions, you're not just stopping there as well. You're going forward to also facilitate successful implementation. So what this means is that you are not just leaving the solution, you're not just suggesting the solution or recommending the solution and leaving it on air like that, or just recommending it and moving on. You have to be embedded in the process. You have to be fully involved in the process of ensuring that this solution that you've recommended, be it process improvement, be it building a website, be it a mobile app, be it a full-blown system, you are involved in the successful implementation, in facilitation of a successful implementation of that solution. So basically, from the point of gathering requirements, from the point of documenting these requirements of this solution, to the point of ensuring that your stakeholders are fully and duly involved and carried along within the process, to the point of even ensuring that your project management team, your developers, your designers, all your stakeholders that are involved in the development of this project understand the requirements. You break it down into user stories, you document it in a BRD. All of those are part of facilitating successful implementation. And again, after the successful implementation of your solution, you also validate it again with your stakeholders, right? To ensure that what you've developed, the solution you've come up with, actually meets the need of your stakeholders. And this my people, is what business analysis is all about. And if you have any questions at this point, of course, you can always drop them in the chat. I will be available to address and answer each and every one of them. Having understood what business analysis is, as being the process of enabling change, right, within an enterprise by first defining the needs, identifying the needs, and then recommending solutions that deliver value to stakeholders. I want us to note the information that is being captured in this definition. First, process of enabling change, very, very important. Secondly, we are defining needs, right? So note the word change, note the word needs, note the word solution, note the word value, and note the word stakeholders. We are going to be speaking to this when we get to the business analysis key concept model, right? And having understood what business analysis is, we will then see who a business analyst is, right? We've talked about the what is business analysis. Now I want to know who a business analyst is, right? And a business analyst is simply anybody who performs business analysis tasks, right? No matter the job title, no matter the organization role. Once you are able to bridge the gap between business side and technical side, once you're able to act as a change agent, right, to bring about positive change within an organization, you are actually a business analyst. Regardless of the organization, regardless of the role, you are a business analyst. And this role, like I've established, can vary across different organizations depending on the industry, right? Some organizations, right, have what we call strategic business analysts, right? They are more like the project managers. They are more like the strategic business analysts that are involved in the strategy of the business, basically aligning the strategy of the organization to the solutions that are being developed, right? They also have the operational business analysts. These are majorly involved in the process analysis effort, process improvement, process process improvement, process reengineering. This is where the operational business analysis really come in. Then we also have the tactical business analyst, right? This one you are very, very much hands-on. You are involved in the technical and the strategic development of business analysis functions within the organization. So having understood this, what exactly is a business analyst responsible for? As a business analyst, you're responsible for three things. One, analyzing. You're responsible for analyzing, you're responsible for interpreting, and you're responsible for documenting information from a variety of sources within an enterprise. So as a business analyst, you should be comfortable with analysis, interpreting and documenting information within an enterprise, and not just information from a variety of sources. You're also analyzing tools, right? Processes, products, and stakeholders within an organization. Secondly, as a business analyst, you're responsible for understanding the current needs of stakeholders. We mentioned this when we're defining what business analysis is, right? Then you are basically responsible for understanding the current needs within the business and ensuring that it aligns with the strategic objectives, right? So there are so many needs, there are so many problems that might arise from analyzing an organization, analyzing a process. But for you to know which one you should push further on, for you to know which one you should actually take a step further on to bring about solutions to, you must ensure that it is properly aligned with the strategic objectives, right, of the organization. And not that, ensure that whatever solution that you are bringing about actually align with the needs that was identified. It's very possible that you've identified a particular problem and then you're coming up with a solution that you think addresses the problem, but in truth does not address the problem. So you have to be very careful that one, the problem you've identified is the actual problem and not a symptom of the problem. This is where root cause analysis comes in. You have to be very, very sure, you have to be very, very careful to ensure that you're not just treating the symptoms. For instance, someone has a sore on their leg as a result of wearing very tight shoes. You are not expected to just tie band-aid on the sore and continue wearing that shoes. Time banded on the saw is you treating the symptoms of the main cause. The main cause is the shoe, right, being too tight, and you have to change that. That is where ensuring that you understand the main cause or the main source of the problem, and whatever solution you're recommending actually meets the need of the stakeholders, right? And also, um, as a business analyst, you can operate within business units, probably in helping shape strategic objectives. Maybe you're working within the strategy team or the transformation unit or within project teams. So a project has been put up and you've been called upon as a business analyst to sit within that project team and ensure that you are facilitating the effective implementation of the solutions, right, that project would bring about. And also, I'd mentioned this, that as a business analyst, you are involved in bridging the gap between business and project teams by ensuring proper collaboration and clear communication, right? And lastly, you're acting as a change agent. Basically, as a business analyst, what you are really doing within the enterprise is change management. You are facilitating change, you are facilitating the smooth transitions from one state to another. So before you join the project, before you are called upon, before you identify that need, there is a state within which the organization was. That is the current or the as is state. That is as it is, right? Now, as a business analyst, you are acting as a change agent to move the processes, to move the organization, to move um, what you've seen, the as is or the current state, to move it to the future state. This is where you've analyzed the business, you've recommended solution, and that solution have been implemented. That is the future state or the to be state. Now, everything that happens in between that transition from your current state to your future state is a function of a business analyst. And as you can see on the right side of this slide, we have business architects, product owner, systems analyst, requirements engineer, product manager, process analyst. All of these are just different names for a core function called business analysis. Now, having understood what business analysis is, who a business analyst is, now we now want to understand the roles of a business analyst. So, as a business analyst, what exactly would you be doing in an organization? If you're not working in an organization, say you have a business, as a business analyst, right, what will you be doing for your business? As a freelance business analyst, right, what are the things you'd be involved in day to day? First things first is problem identification. This is same thing as identification of business needs. We have established this. This is no brainer. As a business analyst, it is your job function to look for problems everywhere within the organization. And how do you look for these problems? You dig deep, you ask the right questions, you identify the real issues beneath the surface. You're not just taking surface findings. You deep down, you ask questions, you do your root cause analysis, you analyze documents, you analyze processes, you analyze policies, organizational structure, you do SWOT analysis, you want to uncover processes, you want to uncover issues, you want to uncover business insights, right, within the organization. After identifying this, you then are involved in stakeholder management. You want to ensure that you act as a diplomat. You understand your stakeholders' needs. They've come to you for a particular problem. You understand what they are looking for. You are able to align their vision, right? And you are able to ensure that everyone is or are on the same page, right? And you're basically fostering collaboration. You're basically building bridges. You know how to manage them. You know the communication style that works for them. This is one of the key to a successful business analysis career. People management, you need to have it at the top of your sleeve, right? Then the next thing is your risk management. You also need to understand risk. Basically, risks are anything that would hamper or serve as a barrier to the successful implementation of your business. So basically, as a business analyst, you are the vigilante of your business. So you are basically looking for blockers. You're actively identifying risks, looking for ways to mitigate them, Because what is at the back of your mind, again, is that as a business analyst, I am after positive change, right? So I must ensure that anything that would stop me from getting or achieving change within the organization, I have to remove it even before they affect my business, right? So that is where you come in as a risk manager. You identify this risk. There will always be risks. There will always be risks. So you want to build a website to address to address the need for digital transformation within your business. So maybe you sell something online, you sell on Instagram, and you've seen the need to build a website so that more people can come and buy stuff from your business automatically, right? Without necessarily having to reach out to you, because everything would have been um, documented on the business on the website, right? Now, one of the risks to achieving the development of this website would be the fact that it's possible that hackers could hack into your website today or tomorrow. That is a risk. Now, as a business analyst, you've identified that risk. The next thing is, how do I mitigate this risk, right? You put mitigation strategies, and how do I manage this risk, right? The next thing is process analysis and improvement. So again, like I had mentioned earlier, as a business analyst, you're not just waiting for a stakeholder to come and give you what to work on, to bring the next big project to your desk for you to work on. You're actively involved in analyzing processes, ensuring that you're identifying waste within processes. So basically, when you're analyzing a process, you are looking out for things like customer satisfaction within that process. You're looking out for waste, such as waste of time, waste of money. You're looking out for things that make that process inefficient, right? And you're analyzing it, you're identifying inefficiencies, and you are trying to bring about enhancement. You are re-engineering. So what re-engineering means is moving things around to ensure that this process is as smooth, efficient, and effective as possible. Also, one of your core functions as a business analyst is that you are responsible for gathering and documenting requirements. This is a no-brainer. You will be involved in so many projects. You will be involved in so many projects as a business analyst, right? And the first thing you do when you are brought upon a project is to really understand what are the needs of your stakeholders in this project. Again, a stakeholder is anyone that would be impacted or that would impact your project. A stakeholder is anyone who is interested in your project. A stakeholder is anyone who will affect or will be affected by your project or your solution. Your stakeholder is anyone who has influence or can influence the outcome of your project, right? So the three I's of stakeholders is influence, impact, and interest. So this is how you identify your stakeholders. So basically, you go to them, you gather requirements, you document it in form of BRD, you ask questions, you ask why. You are not just capturing this need, you want to know where these problems stem from. You want to know the root cause. I've hammered on root cause a lot because it's very, very important that you are not just treating symptoms and treating stuff on the surface. You are going really, really deep, right? Then after gathering these needs, the needs of your stakeholders, you are then turning them into actionable and clear requirements that would help your team, your development team, that will guide their solution, the solution that you're going to recommend, the solution that they're going to come up with. These requirements is what we guide it. Then finally, as a business analyst, you're also involved in continuous improvement. The job of a business analyst is not done after you've deployed or executed or implemented your solution. In fact, your job just began. There is a change management. There's a part where you are constantly sending surveys to your users, your customers, your stakeholders to get feedback and continually improve your solution. The first iteration of your solution is not the best and the last iteration of it. There will be user feedback, there will be suggestions, there will be improvement suggestions that you have to take in and then ensure that it aligns with your business analysis process, right? And ensure that it makes sure that you ensure that all the feedback that you're getting, all the feedback that you're taking in actually is implemented and used to improve the business. Now, aside all these that have been listed, as a business analyst, you would also be involved in data analysis, right? You'll be involved in data analysis, you'll be involved in analyzing, because when you're analyzing the process, right? When you're analyzing, when you're recommending solutions, when you're presenting your business case, which is something that you present to management to propose a solution for a need that you've identified. You have to justify this. There has to be justification using data. So for you to be able to use this data to come up with reasonable justification, you have to understand data analysis to its very core, right? Also, you have to understand solution evaluation and recommendation. After coming up with your solution, you have to ensure that you are able to evaluate this solution with your stakeholders and ensure that it meets their needs, the initial needs that was identified, that this solution actually meets it. Then, of course, implementation support. This is no brainer, right? Testing and validation, user research, wireframing, prototyping, and process modeling, as well as organizational understanding. All of these things are what we'll be dealing with. All of these skill sets are what we'll be learning along this business analysis journey. So I would urge you to stay with me as we continue on this journey. Then the last thing we'll be looking at for today before we call it a session is the business analysis key concept model. The business analysis key concept model. Remember when we defined business analysis, we said business analysis is the process of enabling change, right? Within an enterprise, emanating from stakeholders' needs and ensuring that we come up with solutions to meet these needs, that we develop, that we generate value for our stakeholders, right? And I told us that we should note the word change, note the word needs, note the word solutions, note the word stakeholders, note the word context and value. I'll be explaining all of this to us in this particular slide. So we'll start from the first one, change. What is change? Change is basically the transformation in response to a need. So change is you've been able to identify a need. Your stakeholders have brought a need forward to you. So basically, change is that response to that need. So they've told me that we need a legal management system or a leads management system to manage our leads within the organization, right? My change will now be the response that I take as a business analyst to meeting that need. The next thing is a need. This is actually a literal meaning, right? Need is a problem or an opportunity, right, that is to be addressed, that is to be harnessed within the organization. A need can be caused by needs can cause changes by motivating stakeholders to act, right? So basically, it is through needs that we get change to happen. Now, what is solution? Solution is a specific way of satisfying one or more needs. So when you've given me a need and I respond with a change, the main thing that addresses that need is called a solution. And it can be a design, it can be a website, it could be a process change, it can be a full-blown system, right? And then the next part of the business analysis key concept model is stakeholder, right? So stakeholder is anyone, a group or an individual that has a relationship to the change, to the need, or to the solution. So basically, they come up with the needs, right? And the solutions are built for them, right? So basically, your stakeholder is someone who can impact or is impacted by your project or your solution, who has influence, who has interest in your project, right? And we are going to be seeing more stakeholder prioritization, stakeholder mapping, understanding who stakeholders are in coming videos. Value is the next term in the business analysis key concept model. And value is the worth or the importance, right, or usefulness of something to a stakeholder. So how valuable is the solution that you are bringing to a stakeholder? Now, your solution is as valuable as the need that it has met for that stakeholder. So any solution that you are recommending, have something at the back of your mind. This solution must be valuable. And how can my solution be valuable? it must meet the need of my stakeholders. And lastly, within the business analysis key concept model, we have context. So, like I had mentioned or established earlier, no two business analysis functions are exactly the same within an organization. The context of an organization is different. The context of working in an insurance organization is different from the context of working within a tech startup, right? So context would involve the circumstances that influence or are influenced by the change that we are bringing about. So this would involve your policies, your regulatory policies, your the seasons, the times you are in, your technological landscape within your organization, your processes, the products that you sell, the industry that you're in, right? These are the context within which your solution are going to be influenced by. So how this whole entire systems play around each other, the needs, the changes, stakeholders, solutions, value, and context is known as the business analysis key concept model. At this point, we are going to take questions. Like I had mentioned, we'll be switching this series. We'll have some live sessions, we'll have some pre-recorded sessions as this. But if you have questions, you can always drop them in the chat, or just drop them in the comment section, and I will do well to answer them. If you have contribution, if you have suggestion, if you have feedback, right? Because as a business analyst, I'm always open to feedback. So if you have feedback, if you have questions for me, don't hesitate to drop them in the comments. Don't hesitate to reach out. My email, my phone number will be in the description, and I will be really, really happy to engage with you. Thank you. Thank you very much for joining the session so far. It's been an interesting one, walking through the introduction of what business analysis is, who a business analyst is, the roles of a business analyst, right, within an organization, within a project, and the business analysis key concept model. In the next video, we'll be talking about the business analysis key competencies. These are the skill sets that you need to have to be a thorough and a full-bred business analyst, and then the tools that you'll be using as a business analyst. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to share it. Don't forget to rewatch and rewatch and rewatch again, because this is how you solidify your understanding and learning, especially if you are entirely new to the space, if you're entirely new to the field of business analysis. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, as I'll be bringing you more and more interesting videos like this. Do have a pleasant day, a pleasant evening, a pleasant morning, or a pleasant afternoon, wherever you're watching from, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.